Hey guys, I'm starting the podcast off with this little explanation. I ended up losing about half the audio from this, so it was going to be around 2 hours. I was able to get about an hour of it, so it just sort of cuts off at the end. But I still think the first half was interesting enough that's worth uploading, and all the people that were on this podcast really enjoyed it and had a good time, and definitely want to do something again. So please stick around for that, and yeah, I hope you guys enjoy it. Thanks for watching.
Oh.
Say hi to Craig, guys.
Hi, Craig.
Hi,
Craig's
Craig.
gonna be recording us.
That's creepy as hell, but you know what? It's okay.
Yeah, I do
so
not
great.
think.
I didn't expect his voice to be so deep, and then what?
Now recording.
No.
Was turned on. I don't know about you.
All right. So,
Okay.
hello everybody. How y'all doing? So, I have 3 guests with me today. I have Dawn, Marshall, and Umbra, and we're here to talk about cartoons, modern animation, and everything from the animation industry in general to specific shows and our thoughts on them. I'm gonna let them all introduce themselves. So, who wants to go first? Marshall has volunteered.
I guess, yeah. I'm Marshall. I have no internet influence at all, so
All right. Thank you. You did a really good job, bud. I'm proud of you.
thank you.
I guess I'll go. I'm Umbra. I am internet ignorant. Yeah, but I do like cartoons.
Yeah, you guys should be really proud that she knows how to work Discord.
Oh, sorry.
Umbra's the type of person to like throw a rock at the router if it's not working.
Does that mean I'm next? Am I going?
That's
You
how
are
that
the
works,
one
yeah.
remaining.
Hi guys, my name is Dawn. You can follow me at Instagram or on Instagram at dawn.cosplay or on Twitch at dawn@morning. I play games like Overwatch, possibly League, and some Dead by Daylight and other games, depending on the season. But overall, I just enjoy cartoons, anime, and video games.
Fantastic. All right. So, like my last podcast, I have my notebook and I have just a few topics that we're going to talk about tonight. But before this podcast got started, we had a solid hour of sitting here where a lot of topics ended up coming up, and I kept trying to get everybody to save it for the video.
Sorry about that.
So that no one forgets the points they made, we're gonna hop into some of those topics. So a highly debated topic in this group chat was if you guys have checked out my channel at all, in one of my Infinity Train video, I actually push Hazbin Hotel at the end. Just have it down in my comments and have the picture of it on screen. Don't really mention it, but it's a project that I had been following for a very long time, and I was very excited to see the pilot finally come out. Everyone in here has actually watched it. That's not going to be true for everything we talk about tonight, but Dawn, you had a lot you wanted to say.
Well, I had
I'm here
at
to
least
really
debate
did.
you on your wrong opinions. So let's go.
I had at least a decent amount to say. I was very happy and anticipating the pilot episode as much as everybody else, especially you. But in regards to character design, I was super, super down for it. Charlie, I absolutely love her design. I love her character. However, I
Yeah,
think
Emo Star versus the Force of Evil is real cute.
she's great. I was a little disappointed with the amount of singing she did, but I know that that is her character and there's not much we can get away from that. Cherry Bomb, I absolutely love her. I was sad she wasn't on screen a little bit more. Angel Dust, though, through all of the intros and the small little clips before the pilot episode, I fell in love with him. He was by far my favorite character.
I can suck your
and-
dick.
Yeah, exactly.
Static. No!
By far loved the fact that Charlie was in the LGBTQ plus community. I love that she had a girlfriend, that she wasn't necessarily straight. And I
See,
loved...
like, I was staring at the show real hard, trying to get some confirmation on whether or not they're gay, because she gets called a gay by the TV host, whose name
I
is
think her
escaping
girlfriend may even have called her
Wait, with
gay at
the
me. Okay, I
Katie
think there are a
Killjoy?
couple. Katie Killjoy, thank you.
'Cause
But I
forgot her name?
I went up and
I
looked.
totally forgot her name. I'm sorry.
It's a real good name. I don't know what it is with Katie being a really good name for like fictional news anchors. Like my mind just went to
Not even
um
fictional. In real life, they're all
in real life, but my mind just went to Shark Tale with Katie Current. I don't know why.
God, it's
I
been so long
promise
since
I
I've
don't
seen
watch Shark Tale in my free time. Will
You sure?
Smith Fish is the cursed image.
best.
Hey,
But-
I thought that was a pretty good movie.
Charlie and the fact that she had a girlfriend by far made me so incredibly happy that a cartoon was acknowledging that and they weren't making it shoved down your throat. And then there was the Radio Demon. He was by far my favorite
Edgy
character.
boy.
So edgy. I don't know really how to describe him in any other sense but edgy, but he was my favorite. However, I think the producers and the artists of the show put a little bit too much effort in the background characters and the background environment, and I feel like they could have focused on the main characters a little bit more. Granted, it is only a pilot episode and there is a lot more to come.
They're trying to like sell it, right?
Yeah,
They are.
that's
They
a
are.
big
They
thing.
want more people to view it, to acknowledge it, to fall in love with the character designs and the plot line.
Yeah, that was
that
oh.
plot line in like one whole episode. So I see why
They're-
they did it.
They did. They put a lot into that episode, and I can acknowledge that as a viewer, and I can acknowledge that in the terms of their efforts. I just wish they put a little bit more in terms of plot and less in the background and the different background characters. I found myself staring at them a little bit too long.
I mean, like, I definitely, this is one of the points you brought up before the podcast, and also for anyone, I'm listening to the audio as we go, and there's a little more static, and I'm going to try to get that out best I can, but we are doing Discord because we have more people. I can't just have them all show up at my place, considering they have other responsibilities outside of me calling them up and going, you're going to help me make
Sorry about
content.
that.
I have no
Um,
idea what you're talking about.
Yeah, shush. So the thing with for me, because you brought this up beforehand, as I mentioned, and I wanted to respond, but I kept
Sorry.
shushing you guys, and I was like,
Yeah.
just topics for the
Wait.
podcast. We will get to
couldn't wait.
talk about it.
Could not
We
wait.
Yeah,
should talk
'cause
about it now.
Somebody needed to go and get her McDonald's.
How about we just talk about the podcast? Okay.
Yeah, that's right.
So wait,
all right.
what is your
So-
broad topic?
Number one, bouncing off of what Umbra said, is it was a pilot. They're trying to sell the concept, and on top of selling a concept, they have to sell the world. They had to do some serious world building in a very
Yes.
short amount of time. I think the video is only like half an hour long.
It's maybe 37 minutes at max.
Yeah, so like it's not a lot of time to sell an entire show, because yeah, the backgrounds and everything looks really detailed, but they knew that like this was going to be this is what they've been building up to for the entire all the clips we had seen all came from this episode. All the build up was for this, and that's they've been working on it for a year, 2 years. I don't know how long the project's been going on.
I'm sorry if I cut in on this. A lot of Kickstarters don't have a ton of time. They have like 6 months max before they want to produce the first episode, that pilot episode of their show.
I just feel
So
like
they
how long is
probably
content?
had 6 months. I remember hearing about Hazbin Hotel over the summer, which probably would have been June or July. So they didn't
might
have a
be
ton of time. They wanted to get as much funding as possible, to get as much art and as much clips done as soon as possible. And I think overall they did a great job on that, given the amount of people who supported them and the amount of people who donated money.
Hazbin Hotel stuff has been coming out for the last 3 years.
Really?
3 years.
Are you
Oh.
serious?
Yeah, I just went back to the channel and started
When
scrolling
was
back.
their-
Yeah,
First YouTube clip.
their first YouTube clip from something
Yeah.
involving Hazbin Hotel. Based, 4 years ago, I'm still seeing drawings of the characters.
But is that on
Goddamn.
YouTube?
It's
Is
on
that-
YouTube. Yeah,
Really?
I'm on
Okay.
their YouTube channel. 4 years ago, drawings of
Then I take my comment back.
what's his name?
That's
Angel
pretty
Dust.
pretty amazing.
I'm telling you,
They're
they've been
actually-
dedicating a lot of time into this. Like, it's
They are
not.
actually, as we are recording this video, they are live right now answering Q&As right now. They're in a part 2 of that video.
Oh my
They're live
god!
right
Well,
now.
screw this. Let's go on. No. I'll check it out when it goes up.
Well, I do have a
course.
question about it. Not that we can personally ask them right now, but do you guys think that they're going to have trouble selling this? Because
100%.
it's not. Yeah, it's not your stereotypical. It's not a kid's show, but it's more of like a kid kind of design. But it's very mature, but not Family Guy or anything like that.
It's very mature for the content that they're producing. But I have also heard some conflicts in regards to the people producing the content, in regards to the people drawing it and everything. I'm not going to go in depth into that because I don't want to put their names into the dirt, and I don't want to bring up anything that our viewers may not have already known. But they can look into that on their own. There's some controversy in regards to the people who have come up with the content, who have drawn the characters and everything. So I feel like that's going to set them a little bit back. But the content itself isn't necessarily child-friendly. There's some cursing. There's some...
A little bit.
Some.
Kind of a little bit.
There's
Like,
a
just
decent
like
amount.
2 words.
Right? Somebody might say something. It's not like one of the main characters.
It's not shoved down your
Cut out for
throat.
that.
It's not like one of the main characters' names is a literal drug.
Yeah. Well,
No.
I do
not
love the introduction to his name of just going up to the vending machine and clicking on Angel Dust.
Yeah.
Really
So
good.
It's like, no! My drugs!
You've got characters
Like,
named after drugs. You've got different interactions between characters that lead to violence. You've got all of this other stuff.
It's
You've got
not
the
a
fact that
show.
they are in
I
hell.
really like Sir Pentious' name.
for
Or
children.
Sir Pentious' name.
Yeah.
I love the
Beautiful.
pun there.
It's
Is that the name of the serpent demon?
That's a snake guy, yeah.
Yeah, I sent the video to a few of my other friends. Gigi was one of them, the gentleman from the first podcast, as well as, I don't know what he wants to be referred to as, but he's our tall friend. And I sent it to... Yeah, well, my tall friend. And I sent it to both of them, and they both just responded with the exact same thing, which was the interaction between Angel Dust and the Serpent Demon, where it's like, harder, daddy. He's like,
Are you? Yeah.
It's a good
Honestly,
interaction. It got a
I
big
think
laugh.
I think it's a great interaction, but I feel like anybody less than 15 years old should be a little bit wary of that. Granted,
mean,
a lot
like,
of
yeah,
media
I
is
don't-
changing. A lot of people are aging at different times, so I can't necessarily pinpoint the age of which it's like it's okay for them to listen to this and watch this and be okay with it.
If South Park can be on TV, then if you're a teenager, you can watch this show. It's not gonna hurt
Yeah,
you.
no, I don't think it's gonna be that big. I don't think it's
'Cause,
gonna be
like-
as big of an issue as people think.
I've always
think-
hated the mentality that animation is. It's either like in this country, at least in the way we treat it, there are standouts. There are shows that break the mold. Of course, there are. We have shows like BoJack Horseman, which is a more adult-centered show that's gotten a lot of attention lately. Shows like, God, I'm failing right now. But like the
Family
fifth
Guy.
season of Samurai Jack.
Oh, shit.
Well, ones that like go outside of the norm, because when it comes to animation, or at least the way we treat it, it seems to be very centered around the idea that majority of animation is meant for kids, therefore it doesn't have to be taken seriously with the minority. Well, it's become more common in years, but I feel like for a long time it was like, oh, animation is just for kids, unless you have the Family Guy, you have the American Dad, you have the Simpsons, you have the very same formula of family. You have South
King of
Park,
the
which is extra vulgar, and even like Rick and Morty, which has better thought out plot lines and actually interesting, like good writing and interesting events from, again, I haven't really watched a lot of it, but I've heard a lot of good things, and I've seen some reviews of episodes.
Can I
but
cut in on this?
No,
Sorry.
because I'm talking.
I know.
Wait.
Sorry.
But I'll of course you can cut in. Let me just wrap this up quick.
Okay.
Is with Hazbin Hotel, I like that it has the art design of what usually would be afforded to one of the more stereotypical childlike shows, because outside of like, I don't have the reference for all adult media, but like outside of anime, outside of shows like Jack or the creator, who has a very complicated Russian name, which I'm forgetting right now, and his new show Primal, which looks very action-packed. At least in my interpretation, better art tends not to go to adult-centered animation. So I like that it's a show that has that more almost Disney like channel level, like Star versus the Force of Evil, Gravity Falls level of animation put into it, but it is a little more vulgar, a little more adult with both its humor and its setting. It's literally set in hell. Like,
yeah,
they're not like, oh, it's called Hades. It's
No,
the bad place. It's hell. They say that. It's fine. We're introduced to a character immediately dying as soon as it starts. But what were you gonna say, Dom?
all I really wanted to bring up was the fact that a lot of, or at least now, a lot of things I'm seeing in media is a lot of people saying that anime isn't meant for kids, or like that it is meant for kids, but adults shouldn't be watching it, and a lot of stuff like that. But in American media, we have American Dad, we have Family Guy, we have a lot of Adult Swim shows that are heavily influenced towards adult people watching. And I feel like Hazbin Hotel is more towards that adult audience than those teenage or younger audience. I feel like it's meant for people who understand the real life, who understand the day-to-day work ideal, like you have a job, you gotta work the 9 to 5 kind of thing. But I feel like there's a decent amount of kids who have seen the pilot and who have had their own thoughts on the matter, who have supported it and have had their own opinions. But I feel like a lot of people who it should impact more is those who have the 9 to 5 jobs, who have the quote-unquote adult life, who are quote-unquote adults. I feel like that's what it should be aimed for. Sorry. Go ahead, it's fine.
I do think that maybe it's like, I don't really see that many people much older than us because we're all adults here.
What? You guys are adults? Shoot.
I feel like in terms of cartoons, I really shouldn't talk because I grew up on like Scooby-Doo and Looney Tunes.
You grew up on a weird era of animation. Like, Umbra is 21, and she apparently, I was like, oh, did you watch any of these shows? And the most recent thing she's watched is SpongeBob. Everything else is like Looney Tunes, Tom and Jerry.
Okay, hold on. I am a couple of years younger than her, and I feel like
all about the Sonic X.
I feel like I was raised with the same shows. Do you watch? I don't think it's an age thing. I just think it's a family thing and what your parents allowed you to watch.
Yeah, I grew up on Boomerang.
I didn't.
Dun, 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 dun.
Right, it's so great. One thing that I want to say about Hazbin, real quick though.
Wait, Marshall.
What?
I know that she just made a salty sound because she was gonna say something.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
You didn't. I did, and then you just hopped off of me. So we'll get back to you. I'll remember, and I'm gonna let her talk because I'm gonna hear a lot if I don't.
My apologies.
No,
none of you guys did anything. It was me. Blame the host.
Get off the soapbox. Matthew, shut up.
Go ahead.
Anyways, I was just gonna say that it's like I kind of think it's for a very 20-something-year-old, 30-year-olds, and teens, because we grew up in an era of like cartoon animation that's different from the era of like Looney Tunes and things like that. So I don't see someone who's like my parents who are 45 plus watching it, but I do see those who grew up with like Timmy Turner and all of those Danny Phantom, things like that, being interested in it because it's more well designed.
I can 100% agree with that. I don't think I can imagine anybody like 35 plus watching Hazbin Hotel, but I also can't imagine anybody less than like 15 years old watching it. That's also just me. That's what
I think 15 years old might be a stretch.
I could see them
I'm
watching
saying
it.
like as the
15-year-old me would have loved this show.
I would have absolutely loved it. I would have been adored the show. But
I am adored with this show. I want to buy some of their merch. I'm just broke. Every time they have a merch sale, I'm like, it's not enough of a sale.
It's not enough.
I need it 100%
free. Yeah.
I need to get paid to get these things, even though I would pay for them.
the characters in Hazbin Hotel I have absolutely adored since the beginning
The
of their
design is
introduction.
amazing.
Yes.
But Marshall, what were you gonna say? Because
Well, I wanted to, because I think it was, you brought up the thing about how it's not really ever confirmed in the pilot whether or not, Charlie and Vaggie are together.
yeah,
Um,
I think it's heavily implied. But
it's
like I
heavily
said,
implied,
yeah.
but I know that most of the time pilots are the first episode in the series.
Yes.
But I know that with like Infinity Train had it like what was like third or fourth episode ended up being the pilot. So I
yeah,
think
no,
they
it
could do
was.
that. It could be like they have 1 or 2 episodes before this, and it gives that exposition.
Do you think that that's what the producers are gonna do? Or
I
do you
I have
think
no
that-
idea. I was just throwing that out there as a
No,
possibility.
like that's a
We
We could
legitimate
use
option.
that,
because like
or they could give that as like all of the background that this episode couldn't give.
I thought that Hazbin Hotel had a lot to do with the Hotel of Rehabilitation. And given that the first episode had a lot to do with that was going to be the pilot episode, not necessarily like the first episode of the first season, but the like test episode.
Mhm.
So
I feel like they set up the concept of the hotel very
they
well
do.
in this episode, but they do it in a very indirect way instead of just showing us the hotel and like having Charlie stand point blank in the middle of the screen staring at the audience going, this is where we're going to put bad people that want to be good people. They did it in a variety of ways, both with it being like a way of her to still give verbal exposition that makes sense given her status, as well as the world itself doing it on the news, which again, I find the host dynamic very funny. I know that my tall buddy really enjoyed the dynamic between them because I think he's a bit of a masochist and he was enjoying the torture of Tom. But I definitely think then the follow-up with Alistair, the radio demon, helps establish... I like his presence and what he's going to do in terms of the show. For me, I believe everyone in here has also seen Gravity Falls. He reminds me a lot of Bill Cipher.
Yes.
Because he's this overpowered, well-dressed, very charismatic, yet somehow very scary individual who has his own idea of what the hotel should be for. He thinks it's going to be funny.
I've
For a
got
minute,
to say...
I thought. Sorry.
No, it's okay. You can go.
Yeah, no, for a minute, I thought it was the same voice actor as Bill Cipher. I was like, wait a minute. I had to pause and listen.
See, for me, when he and Charlie were talking about the whole thing, and he said, yeah, he like put his hand out to shake for the deal. All that went through my mind is like whenever Bill would make a deal with someone, he would just put that emphasis on deal.
Yeah, no, that's
that was
what
a
did the
huge
big
part.
connecting for me. It was that fucking moment. Oops,
For-
I cursed on my own podcast.
For both Charlie and for
How
her
dare you.
quote-unquote girlfriend, not 100% Ben.
Let's be real, they gay.
Let's just look at
Yeah.
her. Let's just look at her. Her.
So, for Charlie and for her girlfriend, both of them it was very noticeable for them in regards to the radio demon and wanting to make a deal. And
Yeah,
I have got to say, as somebody watching from the very beginning of the episode, watching all of the little clips coming out beforehand, before the pilot, I don't know, I wasn't ready for the radio demon. He came out, I was 100% for it. I was ready for it. I loved him, but I wasn't expecting him to come in the first episode. I was expecting like episode 2 or 3.
I'm very glad he showed up. And again,
Yes.
like I really like Marshall's idea. Maybe we don't know the canonical placement of these events. We don't know whether this episode is going to remain the way it is, or because even if this is the first episode, they often redo a pilot if a show does get picked up with a little bit more crisp animation, maybe removing things, adding some things, changing some designs slightly. Infinity Train's a great example of that. If you guys ever want to watch like the 3rd episode of Infinity Train or whatever when they go onto the Corgi car and watch the pilot, it's the same episode, but there's a lot of design changes, there's a lot of added, there's a lot taken out, moved to different places. Dialogue changes. It happens because once a pilot is out, it's just the first step in creating a whole show. So I love what they're doing with the character so far, and I can't wait to see more of him. So, final thoughts on Hazbin Hotel from everybody, and then we can move on to something else.
I personally loved it.
Yeah, well, you haven't talked as much,
Good.
Marshall. What's something you really personally enjoyed about it?
Oh, I just like the art style to me. Like since you sent me the clip of it,
Yeah.
I have just been trying to figure out what the art style reminds me of, and I cannot do it. No matter how I try, I cannot.
I definitely
do it.
feel like it has a lot of influences. Like just looking at it, like I feel like it's a project 4 years in the making. So like of course it's gonna get influenced by whatever animation was on, and we have a lot of shows that I feel like look like it, but
Yeah.
especially in terms of at least Angel Dust, I think he almost has like a hose limb style, like old school, like Disney, like the influence for Bendy and the Ink Machine, like that type of like anime. He's lanky, he moves very much like a hoot, and he's like better dressed. I don't know, I just feel that's
To be completely honest, I didn't even think about that until you said it.
yes.
I 100% agree with that comment.
Thank you. What about-
You're welcome.
Sorry, what were you saying, Marshall?
I don't remember exactly what I was saying, but I think I was probably going to go into the one of the things I actually just thought of since we started the podcast is that I think a little bit of what I saw was from Foster's Home. I think
Oh,
I think I
like
might
that.
have seen some of that in there.
I mean, Foster's does have a very colorful cast of characters, varying
Does.
shapes, sizes, and ways they move. So, given the colorful cast of characters, including the background characters that Dawn hates,
sorry.
Dawn
How dare you?
even though somebody put time and effort into them.
Yeah, I know.
Do you hate the Egg Boys as much?
No, the Egg Boys I kind of liked. I know my boyfriend didn't necessarily like them too much.
Well, your boyfriend is awful.
I know.
So.
I loved their voices, how they interacted with each other and their boss. But I'm mainly talking about the people in the background of the news scenes. And
Yeah, no, I know exactly.
Day-to-day scenes.
That
Like
one
when
guy
you
that
just
gets
see the people
punched
on the
is really
street.
important.
Yeah.
Very important. What about you, Umbra? What are your last thoughts on Hazbin before?
I liked Hazbin a lot. It wasn't what I expected, but I wasn't following like everything that was going on. I didn't watch all the videos ahead of time, so I was very shocked with how mature it was. I loved it. I did get the feel of like, yeah, they put a lot of things in for the pilot. My only concern is like how much they're gonna change if they don't use this as like the first episode, because they might change things. They might change the design, like Infinity Train, which I haven't watched, but like I noticed a design change from the pilot to at least the commercials that I saw for it.
Yeah, there's Tulip's glasses change.
Like her overall like design changed, not much, but like
Yeah,
the art style.
watching the show, it is a much better design than in the pilot, in my opinion. But
so like things might change, and maybe like the Radio Demon isn't like it won't be initially brought on. It might be like that was just because they wanted him, because so many people have been watching it for what 3-4 years now. They're like Radio Demon, and he might not actually be there. The first
I think the fandoms were like Angel Dust, Angel.
Okay, I'm pure Angel Dust fan. He is my number one. I love him.
Yeah, no, it's A1. And I last note, and then we're gonna move on because this has been dominating the podcast.
Can I just say something really fast?
You go, I go.
I am
next topic.
very excited to see what her mom looks like.
We do see the picture.
Well, yeah, but like how she acts
in
as
motion,
a person.
yeah.
Yeah.
Based on the phone call, her personality seems because it was just her
Interesting,
talking into an
to
answering
say the least.
machine,
Yeah.
and I'm like, her
That's
mom
what I'm
might not be
looking
the
forward
best.
to.
I'm
Yeah.
excited.
Mhm.
Last thing I guess I wanted to say was on the Radio Demon one more time is I just again in a similar style to Bill very early on establishing both through the story and what we see him do. Oh yeah, spoilers
Yeah, sorry.
for everything this podcast, guys. Sorry. What we see him do at the end. Marshall, what's the snake's name? I can't remember the name of the snake.
Serpentious.
Serpentious. What happens to Serpentious with him just being pulled into the void by hentai-like tentacles? him changing the name of the sign, and again, the story about how he just appeared randomly and wiped out, like, lords of hell. Establishing so early on the power of that character is something I greatly enjoy, because it makes me excited that this is going to, like, it's very hard to do a all-powerful character well. Bill Cipher is probably the best example in my mind of, like, an all-powerful villain who doesn't feel like they beat him through magic circumstance of Deus Ex Machina, yada yada. Like, it feels like he's a literal threat, but when they beat him, I don't feel like that, you know, it's hard. But very excited to see where they go. So, moving off topic, but still staying on topic, because I feel like this is a natural... We are going to go back and talk about specifically more shows, but this does bring up an interesting topic. Hazbin Hotel is a pilot that was created solely through a fan base, mostly dedicated through YouTube. And YouTube, as well as streaming, has become a new outlet for animation. On Netflix, you know, you have BoJack Horseman, you have Big Mouth, which I hate and think the characters look horrifying.
They do.
I think I described them best to my friend. I leaned over to him and I was like, you ever read Diary of a Wimpy Kid? You know Manny, how he's drawn in that? That's every character.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
I never thought of that.
I hate it so much. But yeah.
Oh my god.
But you have that, but also YouTube is no stranger to animation coming out on it at this point, because you have Bee and Puppy Cat. You have what is it? Doesn't Bravest Warriors come out? Yeah,
Bravest Warriors is on Verve now.
It is, but I think it originated on YouTube.
Yeah,
it came out originally on YouTube. You can find.
Is it through Frederator? Am I correct in
that? Seasons on.
Yeah.
But I think
the Cartoon
Frederator
Hangover.
Love me.
It's Cartoon Hangover.
Is it?
I think it might.
It's just Frederator's adult channel.
Okay,
is it the same?
Either one of them. Love me. I can make animation.
I think they're both Hangover.
That's what I thought. Sorry, my apologies.
No, you guys.
I want to say it's the same director for Bravest Warriors as Adventure Time, which is why they have the same art style. Because
the art style is exactly the same. When I first saw it,
there's theories. It's literally the same. I think it's the same.
I love the art style.
I've never wanted to flat out
Adventure
say
Time's
it's
coming
the
back?
same. What do you mean?
Wait,
Adventure Time's coming back.
It's the show.
How?
A new movie is coming out on HBO Max.
Are you serious?
Yeah, HBO is going to be handling Adventure Time.
I am excited.
This is like an announcement from like a week. Like, it's very recent.
Oh, it's pretty new.
It's like a new announcement. I just saw it the other day. I am very confused. I didn't like even read an article. I saw like a bunch of titles hit me real quick, and I was like, absorb enough information to know that it's a thing that's happening. And I haven't looked in depth to what's going on, why. But yeah, I don't know if there's going to be another show. I saw the one thing saying multiple movies, but the only thing I've seen like completely confirmed is a new Adventure Time movie is coming out.
I'm pretty excited for that. So,
yeah,
if that's a real thing.
Umbra is actually abandoning me and watching Adventure Time.
Whoa!
I have yet to start watching.
So I think my Wi-Fi shit out there, but we're still here. We lost like maybe 2.5 seconds. We were just talking about Adventure Time.
The new movie that's coming out, I think is what you said.
Yeah.
I think Umbra. I think you called her out for not watching any of it. Is that what you did?
He called me out because I'm gonna watch it with
Yeah.
Instead of with me.
If that's the case, if you want to start from episode 1, let me know. I'll also get my boyfriend in on that, and then you guys can talk about that. I've up to like.
I still have to finish.
I think
it
I've seen
too.
up to like season 4.
I have watched it all.
I know you have, but I'm really excited.
I've seen up to like.
Listen, I need to be honest with you. Adventure Time basically goes like this: bad, good, real good, meh, good ending. Spoilers.
I think I stopped right when it was like, yeah.
How did it spoil anything?
Because like,
right?
I don't ever say bad
Oh,
in
you
the
said
same
it
sentence
had
as
that
Adventure Time, but like it definitely has. It takes a while to get to the point where like it's that golden age of Adventure Time, and that doesn't last forever. But it definitely, in my mind, goes out on a pretty high note.
Okay, that's.
Or it was supposed to go out. New movie. So.
Yeah. And I am 100% down to watching everything I haven't seen up until when the movie is released. I think it's a great show overall. It's got a lot of adult and child comments and views and points.
Got Rebecca Sugar.
Yeah, Rebecca Sugar, if you guys didn't know, worked on Adventure Time before Universe.
Before Steven. Yeah.
Hence why, like, Steven Universe is another one of those shows. When it starts out, it didn't have a big budget. The animation's not as perfect. The plot isn't as together. And then, like, you watch the end of the show, and you're like, this is beautiful. I love this.
Watching the newest episode compared to the oldest, it's
Old Pearl is
it's
horrifying.
Oh my god,
Old Pearl
so
is scary.
Do you remember what Pearl looked like in the pilot?
100%.
Do you remember what all of the
Yes.
gems looked like? You remember
Oh my
Steven looked
God.
like in the pilot?
All I know is
Umbra,
that
have you ever seen the pilot? Not the first episode, like the original pilot.
The original pilot.
I don't.
Then we will
Okay,
show
I'm gonna make you
not
watch it.
today, but
Not
we
right
will
now.
show.
Oh my
Because
God,
it's
it was-
It's
spooky.
terrifying.
I don't like Garnet's hair.
I liked the premise
It's a
of
good
it. though.
premise, hence
Like, it
why
was-
there's a show.
All I know is
Right?
that halfway through season 1, I fell in love with the entire show. I fell in love with the characters, the design, all of the songs, everything. And then I wanted to look more into the show, and I found the pilot, and I got completely thrown off. It was nothing like what I was expecting.
I think I also watched the first couple episodes
Yeah.
of the pilot.
I think
It's
everybody
not at
just
all what I was
finds the
expecting.
pilot eventually, because whenever you show, it just tells you to one, you know? And to be honest, that's like a really harsh like judgment for any show, because there's so many shows we never see the pilot of. Have you guys ever
Yes.
seen and we will get back to streaming and YouTube as a way to distribute animation, but real quick,
Huge tangent
real
from
quick,
that.
have you guys ever seen the terrifyingly real, like, it's not like bad animation, it's just a very surreal episode, the pilot to Drake and Josh?
No, not at all.
No, I haven't.
Yeah, because
not.
it's been basically buried to my memory, and this could be
Has it?
completely wrong, but I feel like there's not a lot of I don't think the full episode is like accessible. I think you can find like parts of it.
Mhm.
It's like they don't have the same actor for dad. It's a totally different guy.
I would believe that.
So it's just
Yeah.
real weird, like going back and seeing that and just being like, oh.
But
And,
to be fair, a lot of the characters in Drake and Josh, that's what made you fall in love with the show, and having them be different from the pilot than the actual show, like, that's a huge impact.
yeah, but like again, it's very hard to like. It's understandable going back and looking at it, like going like, oh, you know. But we will come back to Steven Universe,
Yeah.
not specifically its horrifying pilot, but the rest of the show,
if
which
I
we
might,
love.
if I may go on like a little bit of another tangent, have you ever been, speaking of horrifying pilots, have you ever seen the pilot for Adventure Time?
Yes,
It's not as
it's not, but
horrifying.
do you know why that pilot makes me laugh? Because that
Why?
pilot originally aired on Nickelodeon, and they had they were given the chance, because that was the pilot, to make that a show, and they looked at it and went, nah, and then Cartoon Network was like, yep,
Are you
Yeah,
serious?
I'll take that.
millions of dollars of merchandise.
That they
Yeah,
feel
it
bad.
originally aired on Nickelodeon, the original pilot, because Nickelodeon used to do that thing. Nickelodeon at varying times did this thing. I just dropped my book, so y'all are gonna hear my squeaky ass chair.
Happened.
Where they aired pilots of various shows. I think Cartoon Network at one point even allowed for fans to be the ones who called in and voted on which show.
I
got
do think
made
that
into it.
happened.
That's
Yeah.
why Codename Kids Next Door exists. It got
Yeah.
voted by it. But I cut you off, Marshall. What were you saying?
I just wanted to bring that up. Like I don't remember exactly what the whole show was. I just remember that it was like I get that it was a pilot, but the drawing was just
Yeah.
like
And I mean, like, that.
a little funky compared to the rest of the show, and I didn't see
Yeah,
it
no,
first.
the
I think I saw it
animation
because
was
I
getting.
went back and tried to watch it from the beginning, and the first episode was supposed to be called Pilot, and so I searched it, and it gave me that video instead.
Yeah, well, the pilot. Again, like, it's hard to judge a show on a pilot.
Yeah, which is why
Um,
I'm still a bit iffy on Hazbin.
I love it off its pilot, which is the thing. So, like, I'm
It's-
here
yeah,
for
I
it.
loved it better.
Yeah, you
I'm-
can sometimes judge a show. You know, Infinity Train, grabbed my attention. I showed Infinity Train to a bunch of people. I remember I lived down to Miami with Umbra to visit a friend of mine that lives down there. And number one, worst traffic I've ever seen. It was scary.
It's pretty bad.
Yep.
And number
That is a
two,
great
my
drive.
friend who is an interesting fellow who's very relaxed a good majority of the time, if you understand my drift. He was just chilling out, and we were all just he has like a little futon in his room. We were sitting, he was laying in his bed. I was like, "You want to watch something?" And I just put on the Infinity Train trailer.
Yeah.
I mean, to be fair, what it sounds like is the Infinity Train pilot was like episode 3.
Yeah, it's just
Okay.
like they upped the art, and there are entire scenes that are changed slightly, dialogue that's changed slightly. They kept most of the jokes.
I mean, that's pretty cool, given that it's the 3rd episode.
Yeah, it was
Um,
definitely more unique.
I haven't seen anything from that show. I plan on watching it. But for Hazbin, given that it's the first thing that's been released, I'm going to give it at least 3 episodes, maybe 4 episodes chance before I give a complete opinion on it. Whether or not I'm going to, like, quote unquote quit on the show, or whether I'm going to continue watching it. I'm going to give it at least 3 episodes.
I'm here for the whole thing. I don't care if it tanks. I'm here
Fair
for the whole
enough.
thing.
Right.
So,
Die
yeah,
hard
exactly.
Yeah.
I will die for this show. I will die on this hill. You and your boyfriend are wrong.
I mean, I think he likes it a little bit more than I do. But
That's good.
yeah.
But
I think he already died for it.
I keep saying but. Apologize. YouTube's gonna
okay.
flag this video.
Yeah. Oof.
But but YouTube and Netflix and other streaming services, whatever, the new Disney ones that are coming out, HBO for the Adventure Time movie, as a new way for animation.
Mhm.
I love that people are embracing it, because for a long time, you have to go, like, YouTube has become more of a business than just a place to release content, and that's the scariest part about trying to get involved, is because you can make this your job and you can do it long term. But for a long time, I've been watching YouTube for a long time, and I'm not saying I have a full understanding of how it works. I have 16 total subscribers. I obviously don't, but I have a pretty good idea of people's opinions on things and people's thoughts on YouTube as a whole, what causes, like, how the different trends have changed over the years. And animation is something that's been on the internet for a very long time. Before YouTube was a big thing, you had Newgrounds, Ego Raptor, Aaron Hansen of Game Grumps fame. That's where he started. A lot of animators started there, and then they transitioned over to YouTube. But it became kind of a point where YouTube was about putting out content fast, and it was really hard for animators to make it work solely on YouTube. Luckily, things like Patreon and other ways of supporting, like, content creators, like a Kickstarter for a specific project, created in order to allow, like, that's a more recent way that animation has begun to succeed on YouTube, and it's led to some amazing shows. Like, I have no idea what I've never looked into it. Like, Hazbin Hotel, I've been following for. If you watch my Starlight Brigade video that I just uploaded today, as of when this is recording, I don't know when this podcast will go up, I looked into that. Bee and Puppy Cat is something I've watched on YouTube. I have shown to several people. I love unconditionally, and I have no idea who made the show, why. I just like looking at it. But it's something that is on YouTube. It's not something that I have to go watch on Cartoon Network or Nickelodeon. But it's as high quality as Adventure Time. It's as high quality as Steven Universe in terms of the animation, and that's another one where the pilot isn't as, like, crisp, but when you go to the main show, it's beautiful. All right, nobody agrees. That's fine.
No, I think it was
I'm
really...
nodding my head. I always forget that I'm, like, in a Discord call.
Yeah, he's making some good points. I'm just gonna say nothing.
We're not next.
Thanks,
to Marshall.
guys. I felt like Bush
Sorry.
clap. But yeah, and again, like, I don't watch BoJack Horseman, or the terrible Manny show, but Netflix allows for them to exist. That show 12 Forever that people say is good is on Netflix, but the controversy around it has kind of destroyed people talking about it, so I don't even know if I should go watch it or not. I don't know if I want to support the creator. Do you guys know what happened with that?
No idea. if I'm
Never heard of
completely
it.
honest.
So 12 Forever, Marshall, do you know about it?
I know the pilot.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you know the
I just
controversy? Okay, so 12 Forever is a show that I found the pilot of a while ago. The pilot for Infinity Train, which is in the past, and I have no concept of time, so I don't know how long ago. But it is basically like there's this girl, she's in high school, and she still dresses like she's 12. She like has all mixed match clothes, and she's all goofy, and everyone's like, that's the weird girl. And then like somehow she has this pocket dimension that's her imagination that she controls like a benevolent god. So that's cool. And based on the pilot, the way the show seems to work is hops into fantasy world to escape with normal dressing real life male friend, uses her godlike powers to turn him into random objects like a surfboard, fights villainess in her evil scheme of the week, then something breaks over into the real world and haha shenanigans. Seems like an interesting enough, pilot. Had a pretty unique art style. I thought I enjoyed. I thought when it came out I'd hop right on it, but as soon as I found out it was the way I found out it was released was in a video talking about the fact that the creator of the show has several public messages, I believe on Tumblr and maybe Twitter, expressing pedophilic leanings, including a recount of her, a grown woman. And that was a big thing that a lot of people were talking about when this controversy came up. The whole 3 people I saw talking about it was the fact that, like, are people going to judge this as harshly because the creator is a woman and not a man? But she had a detailed post on Tumblr talking about seeing a very attractive, in her words, underage boy and basically following him at a distance around a fair.
Can I mention something?
Yeah?
I could be completely wrong, but when the Hazbin Hotel pilot came out, I heard a lot of controversy over the people who drew the art, who managed the episode, who produced the episode. I heard that, I don't know who it was specifically, but one of like the 3 people, I think it's 3 people.
Yeah.
One of them also was in support of pedophilic activities. And that's what I didn't mention earlier. I wanted the viewers to be able to pick that up on their own and decide their own opinion.
No, it's fine. Like, again, I am not getting monetized. I can talk about pedos.
I would rather the people support or decide not to support the content that those people produce than to support or not to support those people.
Yeah, dude, Hitler's art was real great, Hitler
didn't get into art school, okay? He was denied.
He still made art, Autumn.
Doesn't mean...
Therefore, are you going to
art? You have to go to art school to make art?
If you really loved one of his pieces, would you hang it?
I don't support the people. I would rather acknowledge the art that they create. Like Angel Dust. He's one of my favorite characters from Hazbin. I love him as a character. I don't necessarily want to acknowledge the fact that the creators of that show are into those certain things.
Yes, I'm giving you an unintentional, like, I'm being a dick.
I know what you are.
I'm being a dick. You know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
I genuinely respect that opinion. It's a lot harder for me because I didn't know, like, you brought up the controversy and you didn't seem to really want to talk about it, so I was not gonna push it until after the episode. I'd be like, hey, what was that about? But
did you not know about it?
I didn't. Like, I don't go out searching for this. I just stuff that comes up.
A lot of people, cosplay wise, that I follow on Instagram, they talk about, like, should I or should I not cosplay from this show because the people who created it are, they support pedophilia or they're into these other things. But I don't think it's, you should be into a certain show based off of what the creators like. You should be into a certain show based off of what the show produces content-wise and what those characters have to say for themselves.
Yeah, and I feel like you should also, like, I wouldn't judge it off of, one person might have this, thing that most people aren't comfortable with. If you are going to boycott it, it should be the reaction of the entire production and crew and things like that. Not, this one specific person I don't like this person who's doing stage lighting. Like that to me doesn't really make that much sense. Yeah, there's gonna be scandals, but there's no point in boycotting the whole thing. I do have to say, you guys, that
I forgot about
I have
that.
work right now, so yeah, I've got to go. And then I've got a meeting right after. So I hope this podcast goes really well.
fun.
I'll miss
So thanks
you.
for having me on. I miss you too, babe.
I hope you have
Good
fun
luck.
with
Judge
work.
me, internet.
Oh
I'm
my-
gay. Not well. I mean, like, you don't know how I identify. You don't know anything. But I just mean gay in the terms of
Bye.
We just
Goodbye.
know what his
Said goodbye.
shins
Leave.
look like.
He's
I'm calling my
he's actually he identifies in a Taz and a
Yeah.
attack helicopter.
old memes.
Whoa.
What is it? 2012,
Old memes,
2010,
bring it back to the
2006.
old
When did that
memes.
meme come out? That's old.
I don't think it was
I don't
2006.
think
The Stone Age.
I think it was like
There's a
2014,
I
maybe.
would not even
2014. No.
I'd say like 2016 at the least.
Let's see. When did
Are you
the
looking it up?
attack?
Hold on, I got it. Hold
No,
on,
I'm
I
a
got it.
helicopter.
I got it. 2014.
Yeah. Wait.
How
are you
fast
serious?
did you type that in?
I just typed attack helicopter man.
You're kidding.
I'm
right?
all I
going
typed,
to,
and the
I'm going
first
to
thing that came up was the know your meme.
knowyourmeme.com.
Oh
Yeah,
my
it is
God.
2014.
Yeah,
What the hell?
yeah. The copy
Oh,
of
I'm
Oscar
so
was originally
old.
written by TF2 user Goose. I don't know how to pronounce that. It's Guuse. In 2014 on March 17th, and was added to his paste bench.
Fantastic.
There you go. I'm not gonna read the whole copy
No,
pasta.
you've
but
done
there
me
you
big
go.
teach. Thank you.
There you go. I honestly, the 2014 thing was just a
Okay,
guess.
But
Like that sounds about right.
Matthew,
Yes.
real fast. You talked about what was it? What was the last show you mentioned?
We were talking about Hazbin Hotel. We were talking about 12 Forever. We were talking
Yeah,
about
12 Forever. You were talking about the plot line and stuff, but I can't remember what specific point you brought up in regards to that show.
Well, he went over that she dressed like a 12-year-old as a friend who is supposed to be
Yeah.
normal, is probably the most normal person in the show, as far as I know, based on the pilot. And she has an alternate dimension that she keeps in her locker, I think. That she can just go into, and it's controlled by her imagination, and there's a bunch of things that are alive, and apparently the water tastes like something, and I can't remember what he said it tastes like. It was like